Hi guys, it's Lunar Chewy here. Today I'm here to kind of talk about kind of just the general like progression tips for new and returning heirs. Right now, Epic 7 is kind of having a big push with their new patch and all these cool flashy updates. And so I kind of just wanted to provide like a guide, like some tips for how to kind of I guess efficiently progress in this game. There's definitely lots of things that are not maybe obvious for people that have not played the game before or haven't played the game in a long time. And I think one thing that's really important is to kind of stay up to date with what heroes actually do. And so one thing that I think is an incredibly helpful resource for new and returning players is the Hero Journal. You can always access this at any time. And, let's say, for example, if I'm a returning heir and I want to know, what these heroes do. So, for example, let's take a look at Louisa, who was a fairly new RGB unit. And, if you're a new player or you're a returning player that kind of missed her, but you see her in Arena or some other content, you might be wondering what exactly it is that she does. And so in this hero journal, you can preview her skills, you can also preview her stats, and you can even see kind of what people, are saying about her and the general consensus of her. Um, and so yeah, you can always preview these skills as well as the skill enhances and whatnot. And I think it's just a helpful resource. You can also use it to see what heroes you own and what heroes you don't. So for example, obviously these heroes I filtered to have it as unacquired, but you can filter it for acquired as well as all. And there's a lot of different ways that you can filter it to see and look for specific heroes. Something that new players also might not know is you can also see how many of the hero that you pulled. For example, if I choose Charlotte, it actually will show you if you click on this how many you've acquired from some of the summon tickets. I've acquired 16 Charlottes over my years of playing, and I think that's something that's also really important to notice. Epic 7 is ultimately a very generous game, and you get so many heroes and imprints and gear and just various different rewards from just playing the game each and every day. Like for example, the recently, launched Milestone of Radiance. This literally gives you like what 10 ML5s, and then also it'll give you RGBs and powder and charms and everything. Like there's so much different currency. And I think it's really cool because definitely, if you are willing to give this game your dedication and just continue to play, you'll definitely get to a spot, like myself, where I've been playing for so many years and I have such a, deep, diverse built roster. Um, I think one another thing that's really important in this game is obviously going to be equipment. I think that's something that new players as well as returning players have always struggled with, which is whether it's lacking the resources to enhance as much gear as they want, or having issues with gold, or just not knowing what gear to enhance. So, for example, for me, um, and I do want to point out that this game does give you a lot of free gear these days, whether it's from Trial of Constellations or just from the shops or Ancient Inheritance or whatnot. Like, for example, I got this recently from the Trials of Constellations. Um, this was from the Arena Battle Pass. Like, you get a lot of different equipments just from playing the game. But to give you an example on gear that is probably not a bad idea to roll, especially for new players. Something like this, you can obviously tell that it's going to be meant for a speed set DPS. It's speed set, and then it has the four relevant lines, which is attack, double crit, and then speed. But then for something like this is HP set, so you're going to want to put this on a Soul Weaver or on a tank. It has HP, defense, ER, and effectiveness. And then sometimes there are heroes that actually don't even care about ER or effectiveness, and you just want HP and defense and maybe speed with that. And so you can go for flat stats like flat HP or flat defense. And you can kind of tell, while it's not a perfect measure, you can generally tell how well a piece of gear has rolled by the equipment score. So, for example, we can add these totals, so 35, 18, 16, and 9, which equals 78, which is 78 GS, which is this equipment score 104 minus 26. Or, for example, if we take this sword, we can multiply 7 by 1.14 as well as 5 by 1.6. So that's going to be 8, 8, and then 11, which you multiply by 2, so 22, 38, and then that's going to add up to 70, which is a disequipment score minus 25. Generally on left side, which is going to be your swords, helmets, and chest, you'll take the equipment score and minus it by subtract it by 25 to get the GS of that piece. And generally, while it doesn't matter as much when you're a new player, kind of I think once you approach endgame, you generally do want the overall quality of your equipment to be fairly high, especially for heroes that you're going to be using a lot in various content. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. I think right now, in terms of like I guess the most common farming method for equipment, most people tend to farm this breach because not only is it pretty fast, but you also get these epic drops that have they're called like an otherworldly epic, and basically they're kind of seeded to roll very well. Like you cannot get low rolls on those. So while you can't choose where the stats allocate, obviously, you can still kind of in general it'll always roll better than just a normal epic piece on average. So that's also something that people have generally been farming a lot. I think in general, I think one of the defining features of and the highlights of Epic 7 is going to be real time arena. But I really urge new players to not really stress about that right away. Because to be honest, real time arena is a game mode that you can only really do once you are very comfortably in the endgame IMO. When you have at least say, 7 to 10 heroes that are built reasonably well, and you have a good game plan, and you know how the meta works and what heroes do. I think it's kind of a combination of these factors that makes it so that you're ready for RTA. But at the same time, I do really encourage new players to try out RTA because it is a really fun thing. It's personally what's been keeping me playing for so many years is real time arena. It's super fun, and it's not really something that you get to see in many gacha games these days. Um, and for new players, I actually really heavily recommend this draft arena where you can pick heroes that you don't even own or you don't have geared. They come geared by default and they're fully MOLA'd as well, so you can kind of just test out heroes and just test your wits and skill in RTA, but without having to do it with heroes that you don't own or not having to worry about getting gear gapped. So there's definitely a lot of things that this game has to offer, and I really do think Epic Seven is a great game. So I think there's lots of you know things that new players can really enjoy while playing this game. I think in general, I would just highly recommend to kind of I think one way to learn more about the game is to watch top players. So, you can on Twitch, for example, watch players like KHM or AB, and never feel afraid to ask questions about how to build a hero or what your opinion is on a certain hero, like should I pull for them or whatnot. While I do think this game is super generous, I think new players should be fairly conservative and efficient with how to use their resources if they want to kind of progress at an accelerated rate. Um, at the end of the day, this is a PvP game, and the light dark units, the MO5s, typically do dominate the meta. So it is important to, personally, at least for me, I would say, try to build a lot of those units. Um, and try to gear them properly. And so for anyone that's wanting to get into the really high echelon PvP content, such as like rank 1 Guild War or Real Time Arena, I do recommend building the MO5s that you get from the Milestone of Radiance and any other events that can provide you the MO5s as well. Those units are going to be the units that define your PvP experience. But that doesn't mean to ignore the RGB heroes either, because there are lots of strong RGB heroes for PvE game modes, which is how you get your gear and are able to, build heroes and progress in the game to begin with. So yeah, I would just, recommend, not being afraid to ask for help and really just looking into, the communities of like top players on, Twitch or other live streaming platforms, and just don't be afraid to ask questions because that's how you learn, and there's a lot to learn and unravel in E7. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Those are just some tips and advice that I wanted to share as a nine-time Legend Real-Time Arena player and someone who's been playing E7 for such a long time. I hope any new players really come to enjoy the game as much as I do, and just yeah, just join the ever-growing air community. That's gonna be it for me, guys. Catch you later.